Welcome to the Blurred Channel, everybody. Today we are talking about The Force Awakens. Now we have with me a very special guest, my brother, Alex Rose. You want to say hi to the people?
What's up, what's up?
So we're going to talk a little bit about The Force Awakens. You know, we probably won't say much that we've already heard. J.J. Abrams directed it, of course. I thought his vision was great. We got so many great things in the movie. Some people say like it was just a rehash of A New Hope. I say great, because A New Hope was a good movie, and now we get to see it with lightsabers instead of glow sticks. You know, no offense to the special effects, but we're talking 30 years of technology here. So if anything, that nostalgia to me only built up the movie. And so usually I talk about what I like about it, but today we're going to talk about some of the things that people have said about it. And the most common complaint that I always hear about The Force Awakens is Rey being a Mary Sue.
I'm about to make some enemies on this one, I'm not gonna lie to you. It's okay, I spent 2 weeks deep in a Star Wars comment section, so I'm well aware of the Star Wars fans and their passion.
Their passion, exactly. Well, let me just ask you point blank. Is Rey a Mary Sue?
Okay, so my answer to this question is, it is up to you, but Rey and Luke Skywalker, to me, are on a relatively equal playing field.
Okay.
So I can understand if someone thinks that they're both very, very strong characters and they rise to that level of Mary Sue. I can understand if someone says that they both aren't that strong, it's just how Star Wars is, they aren't Mary Sues. Fine, I can respect those opinions. But the one that gets me is when people say that Rey is a Mary Sue and Luke is not.
So you're saying if Rey is a Mary Sue, then Luke is a Mary Sue as well.
Yeah, but if you say, oh, well, Luke wasn't really a Mary Sue, but Rey also, I don't think she's that good either. Fine, I'm fine with that.
Okay.
In my opinion, to be fair, I think they're both Mary Sues, I would say.
You kind of think they are. Okay.
Yeah.
So why do you think that if Rey is a Mary Sue, then Luke has to be a Mary Sue as well?
It's just because most of the feats that I've seen people cite are very equivalent to stuff that Luke's done.
Okay.
Like, for instance, people say, oh, well, how did Rey know how to fly a ship? I mean, she worked on, like, a junkyard, but just because I work on a junkyard doesn't mean I can drive a race car really fast, right? Which is fair. But Luke was a farmer, so how does he know how to fly a ship?
Luke's just not a farmer, Owen.
And they'll say, oh, well, Luke said, I'm not that bad at pilot myself. He said in the film that he's a good pilot.
So did Rey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On
the Millennium Falcon, yeah.
Yeah, he's like, we need a pilot. She's like, we've got one.
We need a pilot!
We've got one!
Yeah.
So, again, if you can equivocate Luke's statement, then Rey's statement should be valid as well.
Okay, so that's fair on the piloting. What about the Force feats that they did throughout the movie? Because Rey did a lot of stuff with the Force.
Rey did do a lot of stuff with the Force, but okay, so there's a few things on this one. The first one is their knowledge of the Force. Something I always find really funny, because when Obi-Wan mentions the Force to Luke, Luke goes, the Force? Like, he's never heard of it before at all. But then when Rey hears about it from Han, she goes, so the Force is real. Like, she's heard the stories.
Yeah.
So she knows of the Force, like, the Force abilities. And stuff like when she's getting mind tricked, now she flipped that on Kylo. To be fair, she was being mind tricked. So it's not unfeasible to me that she could turn that around on someone. Just like how Professor X dived into Apocalypse's mind, and Apocalypse turned it on him. Now, Apocalypse isn't
He's not a telepath.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But because Professor X went into his mind, he was able to fight him there.
Yeah, and, Apocalypse has the propensity for mutant abilities based upon his powers. Rey also has the propensity from Force. She's Force sensitive, so having the Force power used on her, and the explanation that I always thought, while I was watching The Force Awakens, we didn't have the Force dyad explanation yet. However, at the end of the movie, I felt like we're gonna get an explanation onto why Rey was so good at this. And the explanation we got, I've talked to some people, the Force dyad thing, they feel like it's weak, but to me, them being a dyad in the Force, whether you believe it's a, Mary Sue or not, to me, that could have been how she learned everything to do with the Force. Because if you watch the movie carefully, she didn't do a single thing with the Force until she came in contact with Kylo Ren. And so when he did it on her, it was like an airdrop. Like, I did this skill that I used on you,
And now I got it.
and now she just got it.
Yeah.
Because she's a Force dyad.
And to
You
be
might
fair,
not.
And to be fair, if you don't like that explanation, oh, well, she's the Force dyad, that's such a weak explanation. Well, Luke is only that strong because he's the son of the chosen one.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Yeah.
and also Luke has feats in his first movie, right? He trained with Obi-Wan for like 2 hours, and then he hit that shot. That was a great shot. That was 1 in a million, kid. Like, that no one, like, he used the Force, he just sat back, and he didn't even use the targeting reticle. He just made that shot that blew up the Death Star.
And when you see it, like, and some people say, like, if you see that scene, though, he is using the Force 100%. Like, if he is not Force sensitive, he does not make that shot, basically. This is not about his skill as a pilot that he randomly got. This is about him using the Force.
Yeah, and then also it's like, because people say, oh, well, how is Rey able to like use a lightsaber? And Rey has been shown fighting with the stick. She
Yeah,
uses
the
her
quarterstaff,
little-
yeah.
and like, and also given her background, she's a woman on a trash Ravager planet that has to fight off bandits and people making advances and all kinds of stuff. So she would have had to learn how to fight. And again, Luke is a farmer, and yet he's out gunning trained stormtroopers who are supposed to be like Obi-Wan, hype them up as Imperial stormtroopers.
Well, I mean, everyone knows stormtroopers can't actually shoot anybody. You can't actually aim.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But it's like the fact that Luke, this farmer kid, is out shooting who are supposed to have been trained military men.
Exactly.
And it's like, and then, yeah, I can believe that Rey can use a stick.
One of my
Luke can
favorite
shoot
parts
again.
is after in The Force Awakens, like suddenly after Finn removes his helmet, he becomes a great shot. He almost hits everything he shoots at because it's like, I'm not a stormtrooper anymore. So, yeah, and so all of that makes sense. I don't really think, I mean, whether someone's a Mary Sue or not, the way that she drove along the plot, I didn't come away from this movie thinking Rey didn't earn that power. She doesn't deserve to use it. It's kind of some supervillain stuff to say, honestly. Whenever I hear a character say that, they're usually trying to take that power from someone. And so the people that are complaining about it, it's like, you can't use the Force anyway, so there's no reason to be jealous that Rey can do it and you can't. Because no one can.
Yeah, and also something that you were saying about how the movie is similar to A New Hope.
Yeah.
So could people, it's a carbon copy and paste of A New Hope. So what's very interesting about this movie is what's known as an homage. An homage is where you have the same circumstances, but there's different twists and turns on it that make it to where, like, yeah, it's the same. Again, they have to fight a Death Star. They go to like a kind of a beach bar in the side of the galaxy to kind of group up. You know, there's beats from A New Hope, but all the characters are different with their motivations.
Yeah.
Right? Luke was some punk kid who's like, I'm on this planet, but I want to go and have an adventure. Rey, they're like, hey Rey, you want to have an adventure? He's like, nope, I want to sit right here on this planet and wait for my family.
Yeah, exactly. Like, Rey wanted to go, she got a job from Han Solo, but she wanted to go back to Jakku because she wanted to be with her family.
And like the wise sage back in A New Hope was Obi-Wan, and who's their wise sage in this movie?
Han Solo! And it was awesome!
Yeah, no,
Because he was actually fighting, like, and that's one of the things, like, compared to all the other sequels, like, this one actually made me laugh genuinely. There were some really funny jokes, like when Han Solo just looks at Finn, he's like, women always find out the truth.
yeah, facts.
Facts. As two married men, those are facts. Like, and I don't know, like, I just found it funny, and like the other two, none of the jokes were hitting, but the jokes in this one were hitting.
Galaxy is counting on us. Solo, we'll figure it out. We'll use the Force. That's not how the Force works.
And I feel like it's like we've never seen until this movie, like it might seem like a small thing, but until this movie, I don't think we've ever seen a non-Jedi use a lightsaber. I thought that was pretty big for Finn to pick it up and start trying to use it, especially for all he really wanted to do throughout the movie was get with Rey.
Oh, Finn lightsaber leads us into the final point that people bring against Rey, that she beat Kylo Ren.
Oh
in
yeah, with the
fight.
lightsaber battle, yeah.
Which, I mean,
You mentioned the quarterstaff.
yeah, but I think the main thing that I don't know if people like didn't see it happen, because
Oh, the fact that he was bleeding out
he
before
was
their eyes.
shot by a Wookiee bowcaster, a weapon that when it hit people, they went out of their way in the movie to show how powerful this weapon is,
I like this thing.
so that when they shoot Kylo with it, it's like they covered themselves. They're like, this weapon exploded fools. I'm honestly surprised that Kylo didn't just die from getting, you know,
Yeah. And he
like-
probably only didn't because Chewie wasn't able to get the right shot because it was starting to get dark in there.
and you know, it hit his side, not his heart, right? But like,
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever been like shot before, but it's a little
Right.
hard to fight.
So, yeah, it's like next time it's like, okay, so sure, maybe a fencing instructor, one of the best in the world. I might not be able to do that well again. But I'm going to pick up a sword.
You're
You
gonna
can
bring
get
a
your
gun to a sword fight.
And then I'm going to shoot him in the stomach. And then we're going to see how well we do.
Yeah, and also this is something that people I mean, he got shot, but he was also very, very mentally compromised because he just killed Han. He killed his dad, and his feelings were all over the place after that.
Yeah, and also I thought the fact that it was called The Force Awakens and the way the Force literally called Rey to the lightsaber, like, again, the Force could have just saw the Great Disturbance and chose Rey to help correct it. I don't know, I just didn't really find it upsetting. I mean,
You know,
he was shot in the stomach, so...
and one thing too, not to jump ahead to later movies, but just so I give my full perspective here on J.J. Abrams. He's a good director, but if you've seen some of his stuff like Alias, like Lost, I talk about Lost all the time. He's very good at throwing mysteries up in the air. He's not great at the catch
At
when
the
they come back
resolving
down.
them?
Yeah, so that's why Force Awakens is so good, because those mysteries when thrown up there, like that's something that I really love about.
Yeah.
It's like about like
Wanting
having
to get
like
those explanations.
seeing the first movie and having questions, and that's what brings me back to the theater, being like, I don't know why is Rey so powerful, who is Snoke.
I was
is
excited to
Kylo
find
coming back.
out.
Yeah, and then the fact that the follow through didn't feel good makes on hindsight, it makes the pieces going up in the air feel worse almost.
Yeah. Well, and of course, he got so much backlash for his decisions in Force Awakens that they chose a new director for The Last Jedi. So he didn't really get to fully flush out his ideas, because maybe J.J. Abrams had different ideas and different directions that he wanted to do to explain those mysteries, but he didn't get to explain them until number 9, because they brought in another director. And he was still the producer, and like, I already talked about The Last Jedi, how I thought it was a jumbled mess going back and forth, but I feel like any of the ideas that J.J. Abrams wanted to explore, he didn't get a chance to until it was too late in The Rise of Skywalker.
I don't understand how Disney, the same company that got to Endgame, didn't think it'd be a good idea to write a full narrative for the Star Wars sequel trilogy.
And that's what you start to realize. It's like, I don't know if J.J. Abrams had already wrote out all 3 movies, but you could easily tell that when The Last Jedi came out, whatever he had decided was going to kind of go into the sequel, they just crumpled up and tossed it away and started all over.
Because it seems like he wasn't really a Kevin Feige kind of figure. I think they should have had someone like that who's like, this is the Star Wars story. You guys can put your little spin on it, but here is, like, because Kevin Feige's like, here's the Marvel backbone. Here's directors who can, add their little fun flair to it. But there is a story here, and
technically that would have been George Lucas, and apparently he didn't like The Force Awakens, but he liked The Last Jedi, and
based.
And I mean, like, I love George Lucas, the Star Wars universe, all of it is amazing and incredible, but he also gave us the prequels, so it doesn't exactly make me be like, oh, if he liked The Last Jedi, so should I. And if he hated The Force Awakens, so should I.
He's a good writer, but he's not, the Lord and Savior.
Not our Jesus Christ Lord and Savior. Yeah, so, I mean, overall, like I said, it's my favorite Star Wars movie.
I think, especially retrospectively, because, again, the fact that the dunk was dismissed so bad with The Rise of Skywalker.
Yes, that was the dunk.
It makes Force Awakens almost, like I said, when the pieces come down, if they don't come down well, it looking back, those pieces going up feels worse.
Yeah,
but if you look at Force Awakens in a vacuum, I think it's a very, very excellent movie.
Yeah, and I just rewatched it today, and honestly, the fact that those two dropped the ball so horrendously, it made me appreciate this one even more. I don't know.
Just for the fans out there, I kind of like Last Jedi. I thought it was a nice, interesting, and a new take on the Star Wars movies. I understand that it's a very polarizing movie. And I liked Last Jedi before, when I thought that Disney had a plan. When I found that they did not have a plan, it did sour in my mouth a little bit. Just a disclaimer. I love you, Blurds.
I love you too, Blurds. Okay, so before we go, I guess I should say, Force Awakens or The Last Jedi, which one did you enjoy watching more?
Oh, Force Awakens free.
Force Awakens free. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, you said you didn't really have a favorite Star Wars movie, but like when you think of all the Star Wars movies, is there anyone that stands out more?
So I like The Last Jedi,
but you like The Force Awakens
I love Attack
more.
on Titan, so I'm gonna keep going back to it because it ties in nicely. Their movies put me in kind of a headspace.
Mm-hmm.
So Star Wars, I just want a fun action adventure film
with lightsabers,
with lightsabers,
preferably lightsabers.
Yeah, you can't, So Force Awakens was that. It was just a fun action adventure film. The Last Jedi was somber and had a lot deeper themes, which I appreciate, but it's not really in the headspace for Star Wars. Whereas like Attack on Titan is somber and dark, but when I go and see that show, that's my headspace. So going into a Star Wars film, The Force Awakens gave me the energy that I was expecting, and that's why it felt better. That makes sense.
Yeah, and when I commented on The Last Jedi, I felt like Rian Johnson wanted to make a movie that wasn't a Star Wars movie, and I'm like, I didn't necessarily hate his ideas. I just think, like, he should have directed Dune or do your own thing. Go start something new instead of taking what we know and the formula that breeds success and changing it.
He did, and they were fired. You see Glass Onion?
Ryan Johnson did do Glass Onion, and Glass Onion was great.
It was glorious.
I loved that movie.
Glass Onion. What was the other one? Knives Out.
Knives Out. I love that one too. Not Star Wars. So anyway, I guess we'll call it here. Yeah. Thank you for being on.
Yeah. Force Awakens. Do you want to rate it out of 10?
Out of 10, I gave it a solid 9.
Oh,
90%. Yeah.
I give it like a 8.24.
Yeah, I thought it was excellent, and that's where we're at. So thank you for joining me today, Alex.
Yeah, not a problem.
Until next time, Blurds, this is William Rose signing.